given you a lot of talk about pro wrestling, the ins and outs of it. Haven't really delved into much about the Collector's Corner, which is something that's very near and dear to me. I am a huge wrestling figure collector, always have been, thanks to my dad, buying me all the toys as a kid, a lot of which I still have today. Back in 1990, there were a toy line manufactured by Hasbro that got the WWF licensing from LJN. This here is Hulk Hogan from the first series. Not really going to delve into the Hasbros a whole lot, but you got some pretty cool action from these guys where you got the gorilla press slam and Hogan would throw his opponent. One of the things that you find if you find these guys loose or somewhere at a yard sale, if you find them, they're missing fingers, and thankfully mine aren't. This is actually one I bought to update in my personal collection because my action doesn't work. He doesn't slam anymore. But they did guys, like Hulk Hogan, rips in the shirt, your famous Hogan poses and what he's known for. On the flip side of that, you had other guys like Razor Ramon, who had removable accessories. A lot of these, like I said, I don't want to delve too much into this, but they used a lot of the same body parts, cutting costs. Like his lower half here was also featured on the Macho King or the Macho Man. But he does what they called the Razor's Edge, which was a clothesline. So pretty cool figure. A lot of detail on this one too. Say hello to the bad guy. And then one of my other personal favorites who had a different action was Kamala. Starbelly, not Moonbelly. But he was a jumper. He'd put his arms up and you'd pull down on this tab on the back and he would leap into action. You don't want this guy falling on you. Anyhow, that leads me to something that was revealed at San Diego Comic-Con in 2016. It was set to release in the fall of the following year. I was walking through Walmart. It was New Year's Eve 2016, and I was super stoked to buy all the stuff and stay at my friend's house to be safe for the night with all the Looney Tunes drivers, and I knew I was going to have an adult beverage or two. So I stopped at Walmart. Now, walking through Walmart, I always hit the toy department. Lo and behold, there they were. Retro, Series 1, released by Mattel. Now, I don't have any of the Series 1 opened. I bought them and decided to hang on to them. They're all still sealed up. But just so many cool things, man, to throw back to my childhood in the current Superstars or some of the figures that they did produce that were supposed to be released. Like Hasbro stopped in 94, I believe, and they were due to make an orange card series. And in that orange card series was to be none other than Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Now, he was never released until Retros. Thank you, Mattel. But this figure's kind of cool. Does the big jackknife powerbomb motion. They were a little lackadaisical on some of the painting. If you look how the shoulder straps, they don't line up. They're not painted proportionately to come together. But otherwise, these figures are super cool. It was a throwback to my childhood, like I said, and the scale was pretty on point with most of the Hasbros, but Diesel was a big guy. And if you put him back to back with Hogan, he's significantly taller. Just super cool. So props to you guys on kind of filling that same scale so we could recreate some of those dream matches that we either witnessed or we could have in our little figure federations as a child, but now I'm going to have them as an adult. This is one I picked up locally. Worldwide, Walmart got the rights to the exclusive first line, which featured Roman Reigns, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Kevin Owens, Ultimate Warrior, and The Undertaker. Those were super cool figures. As I said, I was walking through Walmart. They were there about 4 or 5 months earlier than what we were told they were going to release. I dropped everything in my arms to pick these guys up. I mean, I've got a couple here. Sorry, I keep moving around, but here's the Undertaker throwback to the old logo, like what's behind me. But since of the licensing of losing the Federation, they just kind of changed the logo up a little bit. But I mean, there you got the Undertaker, you know, his menacing look, and you know, they even threw in a little bit of the artwork that he did the tombstone. And then on the back you had the featured first series. It was cool. There were 4 released immediately, which was Roman Reigns, John Cena, and Kevin Owens. The Undertaker and Warrior, for whatever reason, were released about 2 months later, also exclusive to Walmart. After this, the other sets started popping up at Targets and GameStops, and I didn't see them a whole lot. And then, thankfully, they started dropping at Five Below. Now, I'm a wrestling figure fan. I like to keep some of this stuff on the card as mint as I can get it. But this here is the Junkyard Dog. JYD. Hitting you with the Thump Power Slam. Now, I don't recall him ever doing a Thump Power Slam, but you know, it's cool marketing. It's neat stuff. But in this series was the long-awaited Diesel, the Woken Matt Hardy, Elias with a breakable guitar, and the JYD. An easy thing as a figure collector, if you don't know, I can try to help you out a little bit. These little price tags, you can utilize either lighter fluid or a hairdryer, and you can just peel that off very slowly. If you rip it off like this, the adhesive is gonna stick. It can rip the image itself, so I don't like to do that. But JYD, definitely one of my favorites. One of those retros in the line, an actual throwback to the yesterday of wrestling. Just super cool. And then the later series 2, I think it was series 2, they started doing it. If you play the WWE Mayhem game on your mobile phone, you got a code for each wrestler that are in the pack. They're featured between his legs. So pretty cool stuff. That's just 2 of my favorites. Another one, the Demon King, Finn Balor. Very cool paint job. Much like the Kamala I showed earlier in the video, he's got the little legs that go up inside the body, and he's not a jumper. He actually does a double stomp. Now, this line and I think 2 or 3 other lines came with the figure bases that were made individually for each figure, and on the bottom of the base was the Mayhem code. Kind of cool stuff. I mean, you got a little more than a figure. Some of these have shot up in value, and I can't explain why. I don't know what the demand was, especially because there were so many that were just peg warmers. And by a peg warmer, I mean a figure that just hung there and collected dust. One of those that I saw, and one of the guys I don't really like a whole lot, the big dog, Roman Reigns. So there's been a few errors with Roman. You see there, he's got his signature mustache and goatee. There were some released without the facial hair. Some of them, the image did not have the ring around it that gave you the Superman punch, as here it says Super Punch, because Superman's copyrighted. They couldn't utilize the term on the card without paying royalties. But this figure I've seen sell for anywhere from $200 to $275. Like actually sell, not just be crazy list that I've seen this figure sell for that dollar amount. Nuts. He was in the first line, and then another one. Got to throw it out to my boy Mach. Macho Man in the Retro series here. What are pro wrestlers if they don't have something to play in? So Mattel did the right thing by all of us fans and collectors and did the WWE Mattel Retro ring. Super cool. It's got, you know, the turnbuckles. It's got an announcer's table. It's got 2 sets of stairs on top of each of the pegs right about there where my finger is. There was a little peg that came out and your figure could stand on it. But you see, they've got everybody there featured. There's that Macho Man I was talking about in the Madness. You got Owens, Big E Langston. There you got your AJ Styles, your Ric Flair, and there comes the Demon throwing the drop kick. pretty cool stuff. Definitely, once again, a throwback to kind of the OG packaging the Hasbro line had. Then on the back, another nod to the retro is the artwork for the next series. So you had your Bray Wyatt, you got Daniel Bryan there, Shinsuke Nakamura, Sting, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, Sheamus, and the Three Eyes himself, Kurt Angle. Now the throwback on this, on the back of the WWF Hasbro figures, they did not have pictures, they had little black and white illustrations. So it's kind of cool to give that little nod. But you got here featured on the back, you've got your Dean Ambrose and your Goldberg and the New Day. Pretty cool stuff. And then there's a nice little Sami Zayn on the outside of the ring, your current Intercontinental Champion. Just a cool nod, man. I love this. I'd love to open it. I'd love to display it. I mean, it's a beautiful ring. It's got the throwback logo that they can't get in trouble with the copyrights, but gorgeous stuff. Super in love with this. Neat. Some of this was bought secondhand from other collectors, and a lot of the other stuff I was able to pick up in the store, whether it be Walmart or Five Below. They retailed for about $9 a piece, but when they dropped at Five Below, I paid $5 a piece for the ones I got, but I know a lot of other people got them cheaper because when they came in, they didn't have SKUs in the system, and people were being charged $1 or $3 for these figures. And the asking price on these is insane now. So if you're looking to get into collecting any type of figure, I strongly recommend these, man. They're super cool. I wish Mattel wouldn't have dropped the project. It was very neat. They had so much more they could have done. I love the nods to the older characters and the new school. Once again, I'm ducking out here, but you had Braun Strowman once again on a bigger scale, much larger than a lot of the other wrestlers. I mean, because he is in real life. He's the monster among men. But yeah, the Braun Strowman, super cool, detailed with the tattoos. Got the ponytail, the big beard, the screaming face. I mean, Braun. So all you're missing is a little nipple slipping out of the side of the singlet there. But in that line, you had the broski, woo, Zack Ryder. Throwback, once again, Iron Sheik. And then we've got Jeff Hardy and Braun. Super cool set. I had to get the Sheik and I had to get Braun. They're just too neat. In retrospect, I probably should have picked up a Hardy because I got my stepson into the Hardy Boys now. He's losing his mind, even though he most of the time calls them the Hardly Boys. Kind of cool, regardless. But you just got so many neat ones. Here, I was saying this was gorgeous earlier. There we go with Gold Dust. Comes with a removable wig. Not too many of these came with accessories, but Gold Dust was one of them. He's got the wig and Elias has a guitar. Pretty neat stuff. And a lot of times, if you've got the older retros, sorry, not the retros, but if you've got the Hasbro set, most of the time you lost the accessories. Be it Macho Man's scepter and crown from the Macho King figure, or you had the Big Boss Man, and both of his figures came with nightsticks. Little fact here, the two nightsticks that were released with Big Boss Man Series 1 and the second run they did for him, I believe, was Series 4, the nightsticks were different. So if you've got a bunch of nightsticks laying around and you need to know what's what, let me know. I'll help you out. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. I look forward to doing a whole lot more with this Collector Corner. It's my thing. I like it. In conjunction with PileDriver, my weekly episode, and that all goes hand in hand with my boys at the Weekly Dosage. So thank you so much for allowing me to talk this nerd stuff with you. Hopefully you liked it. If there's anything you guys want to talk about wrestling figure-wise, or want to hear me talk about or play with or review, let me know. The only thing I really don't have in my collection overall are the 1981 first wrestling figures known to man, the Popies from Japan. Love to get my hands on some of those, but the Popies elude me, and so do the Chara Pros. So when it comes to those two, I'm a little on the underside, and I don't have the money to buy them. They're real expensive, but one day. Just remember, I'm a funker, you're a funker. This is Scotty. Thank you for tuning in.